Welcome into the 500 Sprintcast as we get back on track. I'm Zach Heiser. Ashton Smyth joins me, and we've got sprint car racing to talk about tonight. The last show, it was like, okay, we're in a slump. Now we've got some things to talk about, Ashton, as we roll toward the end of the season here in the next couple of weeks. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it seems like everything the 2025 season in racing as a whole is starting to come to a close. Bittersweet moment, but I mean, man, we've got some good battles and some good racing ahead of us with both the Kenyon Midget Series and the 500 Sprint Car Tour. But yeah, let's talk sprint cars first. Two races left in the 2025 season. Anderson Speedway, and then obviously closing it out at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. But the long-awaited race we'd all been talking about, Salem, happened just a few weeks ago. Dakota Armstrong picked up the win. He also regained the points lead. And Zach, something interesting I wanted to talk about. We've talked about, the different sort of physical requirements for some of these bigger tracks. And Dakota said in his interview, actually, he said, man, I'm getting old for this. These racetracks wear me out, but it was good to win at somewhere other than Anderson. So, yeah, good to see him back in victory lane and two races left, two racetracks he does very, very well at.
Yeah, so we were talking about what would be the situation if Tyler Rohrig doesn't show up, and that's exactly what happened. We knew it was a very good possibility. So Rohrig stays kind of closer to home, and now we have Dakota Armstrong as your current 500 Sprint Car Tour points leader. He sits 25 points ahead of Bobby Santos, and then another 27 ahead of Cody Swanson. So a 52-point advantage from Dakota Armstrong through Cody Swanson, and then he's got over 120 points on Tyler Rohrig. So Rohrig is mathematically pretty much out of the equation. But Bobby Santos and Cody Swanson very much in the equation. You said Dakota's very good at Anderson and very good at IRP. Ashton, are you putting Dakota in the win column already at those two races? Or, I mean, Bobby Santos and Cody Swanson are no slouches in open wheel competition either.
No, not at all. I mean, I think either three of those is a pick to win at either of those racetracks. But if I had to pick, I have Dakota Anderson. I think Dakota and Anderson Speedway, especially after the past 2 years he's had at the Little 500, he has that extra fuel to his fire when he rolls through the gates at Anderson Speedway. But then IRP is a Cody Swanson style track. We could see Tyler Roark end up back in victory lane, saw it last year, but Cody always does very well at IRP in any form of open wheel car that he competes in. But Bobby Santos is just always so consistent, always having those podium finishes. All it takes is one bad night, and the points lead is swapped over here. And someone else I wanted to talk about who has a little extra fuel to their fire going into Anderson is Jackson Masenko, looking for his first 500 Sprint Car Tour win. Has come oh so close recently. Last time we were at Anderson, he finished second. A same sort of situation at Salem last week. Started on the front row with Dakota Armstrong, and Dakota said as well, I knew that initial start was going to be so crucial, and that was what ended up leading him to lead all 50 laps at Salem Speedway. So I think Jackson Masenko wants it really, really bad, and I wouldn't count him out for a trip to victory lane before 2025 ends either.
Asked one of the competitors who's in the run for this championship. I said, "How did Salem go?" And I'm going to leave them nameless because I don't necessarily have their permission. And they said, "Well, it was too fast. We couldn't pass." They were pretty frustrated with the whole situation, and so being good early at a place like Salem, being good in qualifying, getting that good starting spot, good for Dakota Armstrong. But now Anderson and IRP, Ashton, they're very racy racetracks where a race car driver can really do something. And that's no knock on Dakota's performance at Salem. He did what he needed to do to win. But these last two tracks, I think, yes, Dakota's good, but the possibility is there for us to have some drama down the line.
Yeah, for sure. And, two races left in the season. Everyone's going to be gunning for it, especially those three guys with this championship on the line. That's what it all comes down to is see how this championship shakes out at the end of the year. Cody Swanson already winning two, but Dakota and Bobby Santos both want to win their first one. So things are going to shake out really good and two great racetracks we see every single time. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Something that is not close is the USSA Kenyon Midget point standings. Dameron Taylor is kind of stinking the show up over there, but hey, when you're hot, you're hot, and Dameron's riding the wave right now. They weren't able to get a race in over the weekend, Ashton. The Kenyon Midget Series was rained out at Speedrome, and so they and the Kenyon Midget Series and the Speedrome have worked together to get that race rescheduled. It'll be double features at Anderson, and when I say the Speedrome, obviously not enough room in their schedule to get it rescheduled, but the Kenyon Midget Series making sure that they don't lose a points race, Ashton. So they will double up two features this season, ending the race at Anderson on 10-4, the KRJ Race Products Twin 25s. Good or bad news for anybody trying to move up in that point standings that they're getting double features at Anderson Speedway. Dameron Taylor, 124-point advantage, not a big deal for him, but Isaac Johnson, Evan Hammond separated by 53 points for the second spot, and Andrew Hall, who we'll talk to coming up in just a moment, and Clayton Bohannon separated by 81 with a pair of races to go inside the top five. Anybody in danger of losing a spot with double features at Anderson that you can think of?
Not necessarily anyone I would put to lose a spot, but I think all the competitors are really happy to see twin 25s. Anytime we have twin 25s, it's pretty rare that you have the same winner. Obviously, Dameron Taylor is so dominant, and especially to racetrack like Anderson, he is a pick to maybe take home both of those. But it's two whole opportunities to work on your car and see what you have for the second one. So I always think twin features are going to be interesting, and especially Anderson, like you said, very racing a sprint car, extremely racy in a Kenyon Midget. I love watching the Kenyon Midget rip around Anderson Speedway. So two features to end out the 2025 season. It's going to be a good one.
10-4, and that's saying, yes, I agree, and the date of the next race, Saturday, October 4th at Anderson Speedway for the USSA Kenyon Midget Series. We've got a pair of interviews for you tonight. Let's get into those, but first, let me tell you about Redline Ace, a motorsports-driven design agency working with series, teams, and drivers from all aspects of racing. Owner creative Ben Porter has worked on projects from Formula One to local kart racers and wants to inject that experience into every client he works with. In a sport that separates competitors, wins, sponsorships, and so much more by razor thin margins, why not hire Redline Ace to boost your brand before the competition does? Well, let's get into our first featured interview of the night, and it is our pleasure to welcome in 500 Sprint Car Tour Rookie of the Year candidate Brady Allum. Welcome into the 500 Sprint Cast.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
Well, this is cool, man. This is, we've been talking to race winners and previous champions, potential champions, now potential rookie of the year for the 500 Sprint Car Tour. I'm going to lean on Ashton a little bit during this interview, so I'm going to take the softball first and foremost. How does your career get you to the 500 Sprint Car Tour?
Well, it's actually all started out in quarter midgets, and we kind of just moved up from there, went to the midget crowd, and started running some midget stuff locally. Started doing some traveling stuff with it, and then next thing you know, my car owner at the time decided it was like, "Hey, what do you think about a sprint car?" And at that time, I was already driving a dirt LS sprint car, and we ended up buying a 410 motor and ended up buying a Hurricane down from Florida, and put a car together and went and ran Anderson a couple years ago, and fell in love with it ever since.
Nice. So tell me why 500 Sprint Car Tour? Because I understand, with that background that you have, why do you end up in, pavement, circle track, right, sprint cars?
Well, it actually was. I've ran pavement my entire life until recently. I started playing with some dirt stuff, and just pavement's always been what I've known. And we, my dad ran sprint cars, dirt 360s. My grandfather ran open wheel modifieds up north, and it was kind of just sprint cars was just what we were familiar with, and that was the next step up from the midget. And we're like, let's go see where this can take us.
Yeah, so obviously from North Carolina, making your way now to the Midwest, you have that open wheel experience. It seems like with your family and all. And I wanted to touch on first your 2024 season because you came out and decided to run the 500 Sprint Car Tour things, and things did not go your way. Luck was not on your side. Tell us a little bit about your 2024 season.
Yeah, it was off to a very rough start. We started off with a Hurricane chassis, and we were going to test it out and see how the series was going to go. And I believe it was the third race after having a couple of rough starts and a couple broken parts and just luck not being on our side. We came back after a little 500 after breaking in the first 100 laps. Came back and had a stuck throttle lap 3 of practice right at Anderson.
Yeah, and then that ended your 2024 season for you. and then moving into 2025 said, hey, if we're going to do this thing, we're going to do it the right way, come out guns ablazing. How much extra fuel did you have to your fire moving into 2025? And what was that decision like to be like, hey, no, let's do this thing again?
I mean, me and my dad sat for a while and was like, okay, is this something you actually want to do? And I said, yes. And he goes, well, we're going to fully commit to it now. So we went out, we bought Nick Bohan's car, the car Cody Swanson drove last year. And we bought a motor from somebody else down in Indiana. And we started playing with a couple of things and we're like, well, at that time, after the stuck throttle, one of my sponsors called me the next day after I got out of the hospital, was on the way home back to North Carolina. Sponsor called me and goes, okay, what do you guys need to get back in a sprint car? Well, first of all, we need some chassis. So we
Good
worked a
place to
deal
start.
out. We worked out a deal, and we ended up placing a couple piece chassis on ordered, and we ended up getting those a little bit later than we expected, hopefully. So then we bought Nick Bohan's car and started running that for the beginning of the year until we built the brand new beast that we ran at Salem last week or a couple weeks ago.
So 4 starts up to this point. Ashton was kind of going through that 2023, 2024. And then you haven't missed a race this year. How did you guys get to that point where you knew you wanted to go full time with the 500 Sprint Car Tour? And was the Rookie of the Year something that you were always chasing or had hoped to get some sort of accolade out of? Or how do we get to going, 2 races per year to now trying to get everything in?
Well, what it pretty much came down to is I'm a true believer. If you want to be the best, you got to race against the best, and you can't beat the 500 Sprint Car Tour with competition. So we're like, well, if we're going to do racing for serious, let's go race against the best and learn from the best. So here we are. We're going to commit to it and run full season and see if we could. The Rookie of the Year thing kind of came in later. It was more let's do what we can and the best as we can as a rookie team and a rookie driver. And then halfway through the season, we started looking at the Rookie of the Year and was like, okay, we can win this thing.
What how has the season gone, I guess? When you look at just a couple of starts previously and now you've almost doubled that by the end of the year this year. How have things gone compared to what you expected, and how are you managing what you expected to be able to do versus how the results have been?
I feel like this year has been a huge improvement for us as me as a driver and us as a race team. We have improved so much from where we were last year to this year, and we're just getting our feet under the water over the water now. And I mean, I feel like the results hasn't quite shown the speed we've had. I feel like we should be a lot closer to the front and
Is
closer
that
to
is
that
that
top five.
frustrating? Is that frustrating at all for you, or are you accepting of that, knowing that there's growing pains, or how's that?
I've made peace with it, unfortunately. But I mean, it's part of it. Things are gonna happen. Sometimes luck ain't gonna be on your side, and right now the luck ain't really on our side. We've have 3 DNFs so far this year, which I would like not to have any, but I mean it happens being a rookie and everything. So I'm kind of living with it, trying to make the best we can with it, and just try to finish out the year.
You said earlier on, to be the best, you have to run against the best. And obviously, one of the youngest drivers on the series, as well as you've said that you're a rookie and moving back to pavement after running dirt for a little while. How much have you learned this year? And what's the biggest takeaway you're going to take from the 2025 season and apply to your future racing career?
The biggest thing that I've learned is setup wise is the setup of the cars and how much little things can change so much. And getting this beast car was it knocked me into a whole new world getting into this beast car. And then you had to reset your notebook that we had from the hurricane, reset your notebook and start all over. So we started the season with a complete reset and it's we've just now I felt like we had a really good car at Salem and really was going to be able to compete up front, but unfortunately, broken rear end cost that.
I wanted to
Mm.
ask about the chassis real quick while we're on that, Ashton, because I know in the dirt world, I hear guys talk about how, this chassis really fits me because I like a car that drives loose, or this car really fits me because I like a car that drives snug. What are the differences that you've noticed between those two chassis, what you had and what you're driving this year? And do you feel like what you're in now fits your driving style better?
So yes, there's definitely a big difference, especially with the non-wing stuff. I haven't yet ran the beast on the wing stuff yet, but non-wing stuff there's definitely a huge difference. The beast is I feel like the beast matches the midget driving style a lot more than the hurricane did.
What do you mean by that?
And
Like, break that down a little bit?
So in the midget, you had to. The saying is you had to live life on the edge 24/7 in a midget. And
Yeah.
so I got used to that super hard driving style, the super aggressive, and then got into the hurricane, and it was like, well, crap. I feel like I got to change everything now. So then we started changing everything. Then we got into the beast, and it was like, well, heck, now I can go back to my aggressive, hard driving that I was used to.
So I want to talk about your transition from dirt back to pavement. How hard was that? And do you think anything that you learned from, dirt racing and what I can say, pretty successful dirt racer, were you able to translate into pavement sprint cars?
Actually, coming back to the pavement wasn't really a problem for me. It was getting back into a sprint car on pavement was the hard part because it's nothing like anything else. There ain't not a single thing like it. Driving sprint cars on dirt is nothing like driving a sprint car on pavement. It's so much different, and the hard part was actually going the other way, was going to dirt racing.
Interesting. That's funny to hear. But two races left in the 2025 season. What are your kind of goals, expectations for yourself and in this 87 team?
We're looking just to finally try to get those results that we feel like we earned. And I've been very thankful for gotten a lot of help this year from a lot of different people, and I feel like we have a car that can compete, and now it's just time for us to show that. I
Brady,
like to
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I like to be in the top 10 more often, a little bit than I am right now, and be closer to the top five.
One thing I was going to ask that has been different for me is, a lot of people that I interview in the circle track world, their goal is professional touring, either World of Outlaws, Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, World of Outlaw Late Models, or NASCAR, right? Like that's the
Yep.
progression. And then I start doing this 500 Sprintcast with Ashton, and there are a lot more avenues that open up in the open wheel specific realm. What does Brady Allum want to do, and how? First of all, do you want to turn racing into a career, and in what avenue do you want to do that through?
Racing has always been my dream and the career choice I've wanted to choose. And I mean, I grew up. My dad worked for NASCAR for 20 years, so I grew up around the NASCAR stuff. I grew up around all the famous people. Grew up around a whole bunch of different. I worked part time for a late model team, and it's just you see being around all this different kinds of racing. You really get a feel for everything, and I can tell you nothing feels more at home than the sprint car racing does.
So, are
So
you
sprint
looking?
car racing
Go
goal
ahead.
long term.
Long term, I don't really have a goal. Long term is I want to do it as a career, and wherever that career leads to me. And right now, it's led me here, so we're going to stick with it and run with it for now.
Do you see yourself? And again, I know we're picking this apart, but I'm thinking, do you see yourself doing a Cody Swanson deal where you're like 500 sprint car tour, all three USAC, must see wing sprint cars, just piecing it together as much as you can to stay full time, and like a Tyler Courtney who's doing, trying to do the triple crown with USAC, and what do you see yourself doing?
Well, right now I'm already starting that process. We have a Dirt 305 program that I run. We're actually going to be running it this weekend at one of our local tracks. I got a 360 dirt car, wing sprint car that we run, and then we got the pavement or the wing and non-wing pavement sprint car, 410 sprint cars that we will be running for next year.
You got all the puzzle pieces, man.
Mhm. I
We're
wanted to
trying.
touch you said you hadn't run the wing 410 yet with the new chassis. When is that expected to come?
That chassis is currently still in Indiana. I'm gonna be picking it up at when we go up to the PRI trade show. And when we get back with that, we'll start putting it together and look for something to do with it next year.
Cool. All right, Brady, man. Good luck on wrapping up this Rookie of the Year title with the 500 Sprint Car Tour. Appreciate making time to chat with us tonight. If you want to take a minute and thank anybody, this is your chance. The floor is yours.
Yes, I like to thank Boyce Industries, Valco Wheels, TriStar, Jones, Moss Racing Engines, Rod and Supply, Goodrich, AED Motorsports, and Feather Friends, Green Filter, and Renegade. like to thank all those guys because I definitely wouldn't be here today, especially after last season, if it wasn't for those people. And I just can't be more thankful. And I also like to give one last shout out to Aaron Pierce. He's been very helpful with me this year, even after my car accident last year at Anderson. He was very helpful then, and he's been very helpful now. And I just like to say thank you to him for everything he's done.
Brady Allum, Rookie of the Year contender with the 500 Sprint Car Tour. Thanks for making time for us.
Thank you, guys.
Next segment, it's our pleasure for our second interview tonight to welcome in the driver, I believe, out of St. Henry, Ohio. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. Andrew Wall, welcome in to the 500 Sprintcast.
Well, thank you very much.
Fresh out of school. This is a very busy kid, and so we're glad that he made time to chat with us. Rookie of the Year contender, that's the theme tonight, Andrew. And unlike Brady that we were just talking about, your third turn profile has one line for USSA Mel Kenyon Midget Series, and that's 2025. Talk about anything before that. Do you have any racing background before getting into the Kenyon Midgets?
So I've actually raced at Newcastle for 4 years, 2 seasons in Yamaha Senior, and then 2 seasons in KA Senior. My mom was actually talking to other people at the racetrack, and that's how we found out about the Kenyon Midget Series. She was actually talking to Kevin Hauk. So we got, involved into that, and we just started, messaging Brad about it, and I just got in a midget. So I've only raced at Newcastle and go-karts, so that's about the only other experience I had. My parents never raced. My uncles never raced. No, I just, I'm the first one to do it.
How?
So
it's so, it's so rare. Ashton, we've talked about this on the show before. So rare to see a true first generation race car driver in today's climate. How do you get started at Newcastle? How does that happen for you?
yeah, it all started on an Xbox, actually.
Hey,
there you go.
I just, loved playing Forza, NASCAR games, that kind of thing. And then after that, I'm like, hey, I want to do indoor go-karting. So I did that one time, and then
you just asked mom or dad if we could go rent some indoor carts or something?
Right. I was 14 at the time. My stepdad doesn't really like racing a whole lot, so he hasn't really been a part of it. But my mom loves it. She loves, getting out of the house and, going to different racetracks. But it all started out in rental carts, and then we just started researching one day, and we stumbled across Newcastle. And then we drove rental carts there, outdoors, and that was back in 2020, I believe. I didn't even own a cart at that time, and I just started practicing.
So go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
You're good? Okay.
Yep.
So jumping into midgets this year, you had a test previously before this. What has that experience been like for you, and how different has it been from karting?
With the first time driving a midget, it was kind of like driving a roller coaster. I've never really been that fast on a racetrack. The seating position was different. The car weighed more than a go-kart, obviously. So it was just a whole different experience. And plus, Anderson is, a track of its own. I mean, you have to be one heck of a driver to get around there. I mean, during my testing, I clipped the wall a little bit. So that was an experience in itself. But didn't do a whole lot of damage there. But it's just been a whole learning curve this season, honestly. Just the amount of competition there is, and then like every week it's all, battle to the end. It's been a roller coaster. That's been, for sure.
And your 2025 season, I'd say for a rookie, going pretty well as as a whole. Pretty solid points running right now. I believe 4th in the overall runnings, as well as some top 5s. You've had some fast qualifiers, some heat race wins. Do you think you've really just kind of found your thing? Do you feel like midgets just kind of fit your driving style, or what do you think has contributed to that success?
Honestly, just having the drive, just, paying all the money to be out there, and, having my mom be involved in it. I don't want to go out there, not perform as well as I think I should. I just want to prove to, myself and other people, like in my family, that I can drive and I can do well in the series, and I can, hold my own. I just don't want to, say it's a waste of time, because I personally love doing it. I would do it every weekend if I could. But yeah, it's been different, that's for sure.
In 11 starts, it says here 8 top 10s, 3 top 5 finishes. As Ashton mentioned, you're within the top 5 in the championship point standings, or just really close to being within there. I'm going to tell you, that's a pretty darn good stat line for a guy who's in his first ever year running these things. Here's a question. How old are you, Andrew?
I am 18. I turned 18 in March.
Okay. So still kind of on the cusp of adulthood. So what now, right? You've got 2 races left in the Kenyon Midget Series in your first season. You're eyeing wrapping up Rookie of the Year. It's not a done deal. You have some work to do, right?
I do have some work to do. That's exactly right.
To continue to fend off advances. But are you looking ahead at all, or are you just worried about getting through this season?
Honestly, right now I'm kind of just focused on Anderson. To be honest with you, I mean, 2 features and a qualifying, that could really decide Rookie of the Year right there. So I've been kind of putting more focus onto that. But then after whatever happens to Anderson, I really want to focus on next season on how I can, prepare and get better.
Kenyon Midgets again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we talked about it earlier on in the show, but Twin 25s, when that got released, that you're now running double features at Anderson. What was your initial thoughts? Were you happy about that? Were you like, oh gosh, okay, now I have to run twice? What is your initial reaction about the twin features going into Anderson?
Well, if you would ask me that at the beginning of the season, I'd be like, that's the worst decision ever. I was not comfortable there at all. Like I was just not, I could run by myself, but when other people were out on track, I couldn't pass cleanly. I couldn't, get around people cleanly. And I didn't like that at all. But running all these different tracks from, Indiana to Michigan, constantly being in the car, constantly gaining experience, and then doing the 75 lapper, which I'm pretty sure I finished 6th there. That's been a lot of laps. So I feel like I have a lot more confidence going into this weekend.
What's been your favorite moment from your 2025 season, or a racetrack you really like, or something that's challenged you a lot? What sticks out to you about your 2025 season?
I really like Paragon. Paragon was really fun. We had a really up and down day. At the beginning, I wasn't very good. I had trouble chasing the track, but then once the track slicked off, it came to me. So then I came from I think 12th to 4th. I got to 3rd, I believe, at one point. But I really like Paragon. Owasso was really fun. I would love to go back there. That's the track I set the lap record at. I hope to keep that going for next year.
Who's turning wrenches on this operation for you, Andrew, with you being a first generation racer, and you got you and your mom kind of working through this project? Who is it that's helping you guys get that race car going?
Brad Hayes, Dustin Fox, Tony Fox, all those guys from BHR. They've been, getting the car ready every week, getting the setups right, just making sure the car is ready to go, not having any mechanical issues, which has been awesome for, point standing wise and everything. They help me out so much, like driving, when I have questions, they answer and they're so polite. The BHR crew really helps me out.
What's your comfort level been like inside of these cars? Obviously, when we think of open wheel racing, we think, these are Kenyon midgets. These are about as small as you can go. But coming from the karting world, this is different. This is much more open wheel, right? It can become a calamity really quickly with these cars. Yes. How's your comfort been through these first, 8 races that you've done so far?
I mean, it's gotten better every racetrack I've been to. I feel pretty comfortable in them. I got to work on maybe passing a little bit. That's the only thing I can really say for sure. I, could really work on just overall race pace. I feel like we're faster in practice, fast in qualifying, really faster in heat races, but I feel like it's just a me problem anymore trying to get through the actual main event.
Have you been able to process what you think is holding you back at all?
Maybe just racecraft, just experience overall, just, being first year, it really helps going back to tracks that we've been to before.
Sure.
And not going to tracks I've never even watched a race at before. So, I feel like, going back to tracks that I've been to before, like Anderson, with all the laps I've done there, I feel pretty good about going back.
You mentioned Xbox, and we've heard a lot of people talk about time in the sim. Is an iRacing thing any way that you can try to get some more realistic reps? Have you sat in an iRacing rig? Is that something you're looking at?
I would get iRacing, but with money situation and all that stuff, I can't really afford to get into
Real
all
race car or sim race car, right?
right, right.
Okay.
That's
You mentioned, BHR turning the wrenches on your car, but the atmosphere with the Brad Hayes racing team is one that definitely sticks out to me as a level of professionalism as well as a level of, having that real team feel. What has that been like for you as a rookie to be able to be a part of the Brad Hayes racing team and having that expertise from Brad and help from Jackson and all your other teammates?
honestly, I couldn't get any better. The chemistry is there. I mean, never had a problem with teammates. Isaac and Tristan have helped me out so much throughout the season. I mean, like it's just unimaginable how much they help me. They're the reason why I'm up here in points. Not because of me, it's all them, to be honest with you. They put in so much work to get my car ready and to get me in the car and help me out with racing lines and stuff like that. They're just so helpful.
What do you see out of after 2025? What do you see in 2026 and moving forward? What are your goals as far as racing goes?
So I'm actually in UNOH for high performance. So I'm probably going to do some races out at Lima Land, which will help me at Paragon, honestly. But I'd really love to run the full season again with Kenyon midgets. I'd love to finish even higher up in the points if possible. That's how I'm looking like in 2026, but only time will tell.
What's
You're gonna
after that? What is your like if you could pick a series and run it, like what is your end goal with racing?
Honestly, late models like in World of Outlaws or USAC or for the 500 Sprint Car Tour, I'm honestly pretty open. Whatever I can sit in. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm not going to be like, okay, this is the car I want to drive, and this is the only thing I'm going to drive. I like open options.
That high performance program at UNOH is unique too because an opportunity for you to not just have to take whatever Brad Hayes Racing is doing for granted, to be able to learn some setup stuff on your own. You mentioned hoping that that'll help you at Paragon. I assume they're going to either slap you in one of those Thunder stocks or in one of those modifieds, and I'm not sure how much that's going to help you on a Kenyon midget at Paragon. What do you think you'll be able to draw comparisons there?
Honestly, just more dirt track experience, reading the track, getting the feel for the track, getting sideways, like we wouldn't do on asphalt. Just, little tips like that. I mean, you see Kyle Larson, he drives everything. I mean, it's
True.
every little bit of track time helps. That I cannot stress that enough. Any bit of track time helps.
All right, very good. Ashton, anything else for Andrew here?
I'm good.
All right, Andrew, as we mentioned in the show, your situation's a little different than Brady. You have to go earn this Rookie of the Year thing. You're in a good spot right now. You got to play defense here in these last two races. Good luck. Want to give you an opportunity, just like we did Brady. If you have anybody that you'd like to thank, any sponsors or anybody that's helped you get where you're at.
Well, I really don't have any sponsors, but I'd love to by 2026. But like I said, Brad Hayes Racing, Dustin Fox, Tony Fox, all those guys from BHR, I like to give a shout out to them. And my mom, she's been kicking butt to get me to these races. She's helped me out so much, like financially, and I can't wait for the winter to get more prepared.
Way to go, Mom. I love it. Good work. Andrew, man, appreciate you. Thanks for making time to be in on the show, and good luck at Anderson.
All righty. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's put a bow on this episode of the 500 Sprintcast. Couple of Rookie of the Year contenders, and I almost did what I did with Brady and was like, Andrew, you got the Rookie of the Year wrapped up, Ashton. He's got work to do at Anderson, and he knows it.
Yeah, tight points battle for the Rookie of the Year, as well as some close points battles as they lead into the final two races of the 2025 season with the
Clayton
Midget Series.
Bohannon breathing
Yeah.
in his neck. So
Yeah.
that'll be fun. Okay, we've talked about it, so let's do it again briefly. We're right here, USSA Kenyon Midget Series doubleheader. The Twin 25s coming up on Saturday, October 4th in Anderson Speedway. That's a Big 10-4, good buddy, to wrap up that season. And then Ashton, again, a pair of races to wrap up the 500 Sprint Car Tour. Anderson and IRP with a really good championship points battle to boot. This is going to be a lot of fun these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, there's so much to look at with both Kenyon Midgets and 500 Sprint Car Tour. Anderson's going to be a good one for both of them. Tight points battles for both, although Kenyon not necessarily for the championship, for some other things farther back in the field. But we'll see how the rest of this 2025 season shakes out. And also as people start figuring out their 2026 plans, what our guys are going to be running next year.
Want to say thank you to Brady for being on the show. Of course, Andrew for making time for us as well, for Brad Hayes, and everybody with the USSA Kenyon Midget Series, Jared Owen, everybody with the 500 Sprint Car Tour. For Ashton Smyth, I'm Zach Heiser, and we'll talk to you next time on the 500 Sprintcast.